And welcome to everybody on this Wednesday Hump broadcast we're doing here from upstairs to the right studio in Amsterdam, lovely Amsterdam. On this Wednesday evening, late evening, thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I always start out by saying that I do appreciate you taking your valuable time and spending a little bit of it with me. Greatly and always appreciated. I hope everybody's doing great out there. I am doing fine. Thought I had a little bit of a cold there, but I seem to be doing okay. Um, Let me see here. Yeah, everything is looking good. Like the angle. Forgot my other light. Well, it's all right. I don't think I need it tonight. I think we're good. We're well enough lit here. While we wait for more people to tune in to the live stream, first let me say hello to Scott. Mod Scott. Scott, how you doing tonight? Thank you so much for showing up always and moderating. I appreciate it so much. Ben Olmark in the house, Mr. Watson in the house. Hello, gentlemen. How are you guys doing? Welcome. What's been going on? Well, I had a little bit of breathing space today where things were a little less hectic for me. So I was able to sit down and edit that video that I've been promising of the unboxing of the latest instruments that came in from Japan. And if you haven't had the opportunity to, I welcome you to watch that video. You'll find it in our regular content on this channel under videos. About 10 minutes long and some great stuff in there. I told you guys, those were some interesting guitars. For those of you guys who were looking out for that, yeah, it delivered. They were some very interesting guitars. I have to say, however, that I am not in love with Rickenbackers. I'm fine now, Scott says, that I don't have to deal with the worst engineering firm in Newfoundland. Well, I hope that you don't have to make a phone call to the second worst. I hope you find a good one. Um, yeah, man, it's just, it's Wednesday, my God, the things that we go through. But this is a good thing about this live stream. I think kind of break things, chop things up a little bit, distract our minds a little bit from the 9 to 5, so to speak. We could all use a break from that at all times. We work hard, all of us. And so I don't want to disappoint, and I don't think tonight is really does reflect that tonight's topic. What else went on this week while we wait for more people to tune in? I spent a good couple of hours on my workbench here, um, working on that Flying V. It needed a lot of. The neck is straight. The electronics are good. It plays well. No problems there. But it needed some restoration work in terms of the rust. I get a few in every now and then that for body sound, no scratches, no dents, everything, but just the thing is covered in rust, and that has a lot to do with the humidity in Japan. And that I'll start out tonight by talking about one of the pitfalls of ordering guitars from Japan, particularly from Okinawa, very humid place year round. Is that you will run into guitars that have rust. Also, I would say parts of Nagano Prefecture too, which is ironically where I ship from. Um, it's something that occurs, but with a little bit of elbow grease, a couple of hours worth of work, I was able to completely remove every bit of rust from every screw, every joint, everything on that guitar. The tuners, you couldn't read the little Epiphone E that looks like a euro symbol. E on the back of those. By the time I was done, it was just, ta-da. It was glistening. So that's what I did that work because I got to get that ready for sale, of course, and I want the client who gets it to have the best experience out of the box with it. I don't want them having to deal with those things, even if they know how to, or spending the money to do it. I can do it, and makes selling it a lot easier too when you take an instrument and you take a little time to clean it up. You'd be surprised how you might get that extra little bit of a coin that you were hoping to get I mean, for God's sakes, change the strings at the very least. I've seen some guitars come through where the cats didn't even change the strings. It's like, wow. Okay, interesting. But so that's what I spent doing that video, editing and cleaning up that guitar, and thinking about something to talk with you guys about tonight. I've come up with a new term, DIGS. That's your desert island gear scenario. So I coined that term for myself here is DIGS. What's your DIGS? And will I dig your digs? Is another question I will ask tonight. And I just wanted to talk about something really lighthearted. I wanted to talk about desert island gear because I had that unboxing, and you know there are days that I have. I admit that I am the quintessential catch and release guitar guy. Most of it has to do with, of course, my business. A lot of it has to do with, quite frankly, I'm trying to do this as economically as possible, and some of those guitars are, quite frankly, out of my price range in terms of keeping. Some, not all of them, but some of them. And some of them it's just nice to have around, but it's, as was pointed out in the last live stream, a flying V is, that girl you date, but you don't bring her home to the folks and you don't put a ring on it. And that's just the truth of those guitars for me. But, I always come back to, what would my desert island guitar be? And of course, that extends out to not just the guitar. Let's pretend that this is, a little bit more sophisticated of an island than Gilligan's Island. All you have is a coconut run transistor radio. Now, in this case, you might have a little AC going for you, generator that runs on coconut milk. So you're good there. And, you can bring an amp, you can bring a pedal, and you can bring a guitar, to keep the monkeys entertained. And it's a kind of a mental exercise that I take from time to time to look around at my stuff and say, what is it that I really don't need? For years, I was a one guitar guy. And then I started getting multiple guitars. It's just hilarious. And then I started really understanding what the term "I'm good" really means. To the point now where I've built my first serious parts caster, Strat, to see if that's a direction that I can go in to be that one guitar for me. That covers all the bases that I wanted to, has a sound that I wanted to have. Quite frankly, it's an exercise in what's necessary when you look around the house. What's necessary for you to keep? What is something that maybe you might want to move on? Mr. Thornhill in the house. How are you doing, sir? Welcome. How you doing? So, desert island scenario. Imagine your gear collection is on a boat. For some reason, you were dumb enough to take your entire gear collection on a boat. I told you guys, this one tonight is, not deep at all, but it's fun. Let's keep it light sometimes here. For some reason, you brought your entire gear collection on a boat. Maybe, you were doing a carnival cruise tour with your band. And the boat's going down. And, you got to grab one guitar and one pedal and one of your amps if you have multiple amps, or one of your modelers, or, one of your modeling pedals. and you gotta, which is easier for you, you stick that in your pocket. You won't drown as much as trying to swim to shore with a friggin', Marshall stack. But somehow you make it to shore. What was it in that moment of panic that you have to make a quick decision? What is it looking around very quickly that you would call to be your own choices for that desert island? You end up on the island. It's a desert island. Um, we'll determine if anybody else made it off the ship. Maybe the drummer didn't make it. But the Sharks definitely got the bass player. But you made it, and what is it that you made it with? So I want to, of course, this is a little interactive if you can tonight. I like to hear from you guys in the chat what your picks would be. We're going to discuss those tonight. Going to be a little bit more back and forth here. I had to sit there and think to myself, hey, yo to you too. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Let me catch up here in the chat before I get started. Seriously, Judo J, yeah, yo to you, brother. Judo J, welcome. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Welcome to the chat. Anthony Thornhill, my 1973 Les Paul Deluxe with mini humbuckers. Nice choice. Judo J says you sound like Ted Williams. It wasn't Ted Williams the bartender from the actor's name from the bartender on the Love Boat? Is that who you're talking about? Telecaster, wall pedal, Blues Junior amp. Okay, guys, keep it coming, keep it coming. Kraft mac and cheese guy. I don't know who that is. I don't live in the States. I've realized now that I've been out of the States now longer than when I lived there. And that's saying something because I left when I was, anyway, let's not give my age away. But yeah, man, dig that. Keep them coming, guys. I'd like to hear it. Now, what makes a keeper guitar? I really wanted to sit down and think about that. What makes this is all subjective, of course. But I think pretty much, here we can all agree on some of these points I'm going to bring up. The tone versatility. Again, the principal idea behind building that humbucker Strat, one of the reasons was the tone versatility. Now, just as a side note, I've come to learn the difference between HH Strat and a Super Strat, which is an HH Strat, which you would think that they're both would be Super Strats. But in order to be a Super Strat, you have to have a Floyd Rose tremolo on it. So no, it's not a Super Strat I built. It's just a HH Strat with really nice pickups that sounded great, and I've recorded with those pickups. Sounded great in every other guitar that I've had. I said, let's give it a shot in this, and I was not disappointed. And the tone versatility there, especially the way I have it set up, it cannot be denied. I can get a lot of tones out of it. Comfort and playability was the number one reason why I wanted to put together, along with the HH op. It couldn't be single. Had to be HH. Is because of the fact that I don't find sitting down and playing Les Pauls comfortable. They're okay when standing up and playing. I never played a Les Paul live on stage. I always play Telecasters. I find Telecasters to be okay in terms of their comfort, certainly their playability, but I found the Stratocaster completely ergonomically the most comfortable guitar. My uncle Carlton, the Blues Hall of Famer guitarist, dislikes Strats. He says, I never got along with those. And I'm probably the first Mick Williams to ever get along, musician to get along with the Strat. Hopefully my nephew will get along well with his as his first guitar that I made for him, put together for him. But the comfort really was a big key to that. I find it, even though it weighs as much as my Les Pauls do at around 8.2 pounds, I think it is, but still, it's just, you know, it's really more comfortable for me. Of course, playability. I just heard somebody say that we guitar players, we don't play the guitar, we play the neck, which is kind of true. I swapped necks on that project a few times before. I came across an affordable and really great option that works out like a charm. Had to put a little work into it too, but I don't mind working on guitars. I'm actually finding that I have a knack for it, something I was not aware of. And I showed a picture of the work after because I took the Flying V down to Fern to take a look at to do a little bit of a game plan on it. He doesn't do that kind of restoration work, but I did have him check out the electronics of the neck, everything, and he checked it out fine. It was great. He was kind enough to do that. And as we talked about it, I told him what I was going to do. And when I sent him photos of it when I was done, he was like, wow, that just looks fantastic. 100% better. You got to show me how to do that. I said, it's a tedious process. He said, well, that's okay. I'll pass. I'll have you do it if it ever comes up. It really is. But I'm able to do the work myself. If you can do the work yourself, then, you know, that makes a big difference. What country are you in? In Amsterdam. I'm in the Netherlands, the city of Amsterdam. Sentimental value, of course, has a lot to do with it. You know, it may be in the case of that 73 Les Paul there, it has a sentimental value to you. And well, I'm sure it does. And that would be a thing too. Again, being a catch and release guitar player, I don't have any of great sentimental value. Maybe I could say that the parts caster though, because you know, again, passing it back and forth between me and Fern, we have made a fantastic guitar. I'm very pleased with, very pleased with it. So practicality has a lot to do with it as well. You're not going to take your double neck Gibson, you know, ES 170. Is that or the I forget what it's called, but I know it's 175 is the number designation on it. You're not going to take your double neck on it, the practicality of that is just. I mean, maybe a great option, but no, no. So practicality has a lot to do with it, I think, too, in this scenario. A little bit. VVD was how you doing, sir? Welcome. Hey, VVD, cheers. Welcome, welcome, welcome from Russia. Sorry I had to catch up with the chats there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Telecaster Wall Pedal Blues Junior amp. Yeah, the Telecaster, as I said before, is the Swiss Army knife of guitars. You can get just about any tone you want out of that thing. Yeah, my case would be a Telecaster. I'd have to say I would probably grab this CV Telecaster, the Squire here. I need to work on that. I keep forgetting to work on that, and that would be a good one. Or my parts caster. Fish, ball, cat. If I say those in a mirror at midnight, those words 3 times, does the fish, ball, cat appear? And is that something that I want to have happen? I have questions. That's all. You know, I just have some questions. Wow, cool setup. Thank you, Herman. Welcome to the chat. So if you could only keep one guitar. Again, some of you guys have put in your responses. I'd like to hear from all of you guys. If you keep one guitar, what would that be? A Strat, a Tele, a Les Paul, something else? You know, what would that be? Now let's talk about the amp. You know, in that scenario, what's this here? Scott. Mike, have you heard of the 1032 guitars? No, 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 not enough to stick in my brain. Um, we'll do it live. 1032 guitars. You can tell I want to stretch this live stream out tonight, guys. Let's see what we got here. Here are 1032 guitars. The electric guitar evolved. Infinite possibilities, endless inspiration. Modular headstocks. Very interesting. Wow, these are interesting. Some of these body shapes actually look suspiciously a lot like that Greco that I unboxed here on my channel. If you guys haven't checked it out, go to the video section on this channel. Check out the video I put out today. Check out the Greco Rickenbacker copy. These bodies are very, very similar to that RG 550. Holy crap, these are 3,000 euro guitars. No wonder I haven't checked it out. Not exactly in my price range. Wow, that's the beginning price. These suckers go all the way up there to 3,500. Wow, dig that. Yeah, very interesting. I like these. These are kind of cool. Interesting. I have to look a little bit more into that after the live stream. Thank you, Scott. Nirvana forever. Can't really argue with that. Nirvana forever. Not going to argue that point. So, well, maybe if that would be your desert island guitar, Mr. Nirvana forever, maybe you would choose to have a Jag stain. Tube versus solid state versus Mahlers. What's the best choice for desert island amp? My personal pick would honestly be this Moore Radar pedal because it's completely tiny. So I'm not have to, I can keep it up on a coconut tree, keep the sand out of it. It's got every amp, everything in it, and it's just super portable. I can lug it from one side of the island to the other without any problem. And I'm not kidding. It really would be. I'm really impressed with this Moore Radar. It's super, $120, and you can load. I've loaded in a few of my own IRs that I got now into it, and they say that the stock ones aren't that great. That's not true. There are some in there. You got to tweak it, work them. But yeah, I would go with this. If space and weight were concerned, I'd have to go with an option like this. If space and weight were concerned, and I wouldn't be unhappy with it either. I think it would be a great option, and it's got a headphone jack. So how many amps have a? Maybe the monkeys are like, you know what, guy? Could we give it a rest? Can you take 5? You'd be like, no problem. I'll just slip on my headphones here. So that would be my choice for an amp. Would actually be this pedal here, because I really just think that for space and weight, that would be a way to go. Another option would be a Kemper or a Fractal, I think. And power rating, the versatility. I don't think you're going to be doing any recording on that desert island. I didn't say you could bring anything to record with. But certainly for a live situation, maybe this wouldn't be the answer because I'd need to get a separate cab. But yeah, like I said, I don't know how many concerts you're going to be doing. But again, that's just a desert island thing. If in reality, in real life, at home, in a home situation, if you had to leave the town, you could only grab one thing. Seriously, I would take this because still, I can always pick up a cab for it anywhere. That's not a problem. I can use it in any situation as long as I have headphones. So that's something actually you can see that I put a little thought into. Honored to meet you, Mr. President. Yeah. Funny one. How is Michelle and the kids? How is Mike and the kids? Don't know. No idea. Um, the pedal. The pedal. Here's an interesting part of this. Um, one pedal to rule them all. What pedal would you do? Scott says my D.I.G.S guitar would be a mariachi, a mariachi bass. Aha, a mariachi bass. Boy, I tell you, my eyes are getting bad, Scott. No, no kidding. Mariachi bass big enough to turn into a boat, pedal to safety with the neck. Or alternatively, upright bass would do. In a pinch, maybe a cello. Yeah, it's funny because, you know, you really just need, of these things, you really just, I mean, the pedal is an optional thing, by the way. The pedal, unless it's, in the case of my scenario, it's substituting for your amp. Pedals are really optional. The right amp, driven, you know, at the right volume, with the right pickups and the right, the right guitar, or actually the right pickups, actually, at the end of the day, you can get just about any screaming tone out of it you want. But if you're a pedals guy and you accent your sound, situate your sound with a pedal, then you're really in big trouble there, especially if you use multiple pedals. You'd have to ask yourself, of all this, some guys have like the Death Star, I like to call it. It's like this is layer 1, this is layer 2, and this is layer 3. I've seen pedal boards come out to here, and then you flip the top off, and there's more friggin' pedals underneath the pedals that you have on top already. I'm not kidding. I call those the Death Star pedal boards. Like, dude, at what point do you even need the guitar anymore? Just push the buttons on the pedals. It'll make its own sound. But for guys like that, they're in big trouble because they have to make a decision. And I would say that for somebody like that, they'd be hard pressed to come down with just one. Well, how am I gonna get? Well, maybe you got a spring reverb if you got a Fender amp, or if you're doing my little deal here. Some of the amps, well, no, I can't even say that. Or in the case of a Kempler or something like that, I do believe I've never touched one of the Fractal Kemper. I've honestly never touched one, seen one. I feel like Prince. I just, the same reason that he would mess with it is exactly the reason why I would mess with it. I don't disagree with him on that point. Don't want to screw around with it, pushing buttons, but that does have effects in it, so that's a bonus as well. That in itself could solve your pedal issue. You could just, I guess some of those you can put in all of your reverbs, all your delays, to the best that you can and try to recreate them there. So there's that. Michael Dwyer says, bro, are you the Grandma Destroyer from the Hub? It is you. Grandma Destroyer. Grandma Destroyer. I don't like the sound of that, Mr. Dwyer. That would indicate that I'm into grandmas. Gilf says I do believe they are commonly referred in the vernacular out there. No, man. How are you powering this D.I.G.S rig? Well, I said that. You've got yourself a generator that runs on coconut water. I think it would be obvious there, Scott. I'm such a big fan. Dude, I learned all my tricks from you. You did not learn any guilt tricks from me. And if you're into gifts, you lay that on yourself, bro. Don't put it on me. Keep that one to yourself. I don't like seeing gray hair down there on myself, much less anybody else. Scott says, all of course. The jackhammer, the wheelbarrow, the dog. Again, Michael, I hate to tell you this, but you're telling on yourself. We might have to do something with Mr. Dwyer here, Scott here. You made the call. But yeah, assuming that your coconut water generator is operating, what pedal would you take? And I myself, I'd have to go with this Klon copy because this going into this really gives me, just it really opens up my tonal options to the point where I wouldn't miss the little hint of chorus or reverb that I might ordinarily like to have. It's not, something that's necessary. It really isn't. And I can't see myself, playing surf music too much. Although it would be the place to go to. It would be the kind of music to play on a desert island, a lot of surf music. Dun, 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 as you're watching the waves roll in day after day. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I might have to rethink my pedal thing here. Would it be a delay, a reverb, a multi-effects? It'd have to be a multi-effects unit. Yeah, I'd have to go for, again, like the Zoom, that new Zoom MD, the new multi-effects Zoom. Yeah, that would be the one that I would take. So I would take the multi-effects Zoom pedal and this Moore radar. And, I don't have a lot of overdrive there. Although that does have some drives built into it. Yeah, that might be the way to go. Then I've got everything covered with two pedals and a guitar. I can put those two pedals fit in your pocket. Guitar you put on your back. The generator, I don't know how much a coconut water generator weighs these days. But yeah, you're pretty much well set. And not a lot of, again, getting to the simplicity of it. I could make that work. Again, putting that back into a real life situation, if I had one guitar and those two pedals, the Zoom, the new Zoom multi-effects pedal and this Moore radar, I could play live very easily. Just put them on a little itty bitty pedal board, run it through the mains, through the house, and you're good to go. I can record with it, obviously. So yeah, this was again like an exercise in trying to simplify your rig down to what could the few little things that you could have or do that would basically really do it for you. And I think I've kind of nailed that down because if I was a bass player, that same rig that I would choose would work just as well because there's bass modelers in those as well in this newer radar. I used them on a recording that I did a few weeks ago that, God willing, I'll have some breathing space this month to get down and start working on those tracks, finishing those up. But in any case, I digress. Let me catch up on track chats here. Don't fill the chat room, please. Thank you, Scott. Mike's 3 Killer Guitars video. Thank you, Scott. Scott, God bless you, sir. Thank you, guys. For you guys who are watching here live or you can still access the chat afterwards in the rerun. Go down here. Scott's been kind enough to put the link for the latest video. Did you take a look at that, Scott? What did you think about that? What do you think about that unboxing? I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Yeah, that would do it. That would be my rig. It would be a Telecaster or my parts caster and this Moore radar and the Zoom MD. the new multi-effects pedal, and I could certainly make it off the ship. I could swim with that. With those in my pocket and that in my back, I could swim with that. I could make that work. But at least to get to shore. But in a real life situation, if that's all that I had, honestly, that would be all that I would really need. Everything on top of that would be gravy. I honestly do think that. I honestly do think that. Scott says, not yet. Uploaded as I was going to work. After the stream for sure, though. Thank you, Scott. Just tell me what you think down in the comments section of that video. Which one was your favorite? The neck on that, if you guys haven't watched it, that Tokai that gets unboxed, that neck on that Tokai, 83 Tokai SS50, was the same exact time. I took out my calipers here, and yeah, right here. It's on top because I used it. Took out my caliper, and I measured against my affinity neck. They were exactly the same. Japanese necks, I guess they as you got into the 80s, you got into more hair metal and stuff like that. And they wanted these thinner, faster necks. And so those Japanese necks just got smaller and smaller and smaller. It's interesting. That's the reason, again, that's why guitar players, we don't play the guitar, we play the necks. That's a beautiful 83, beautiful candy apple red, just gorgeous guitar, but it's for me, I could make it work, but I wouldn't be happy with it because of that affinity size neck on it. And that's not, I'm not exaggerating, it was the exact same dimensions as an affinity, that neck. Interesting. Just blew my mind. Yeah, that would be me. That's what I would do. Again, considering how it works with your amp and guitar as well. Would you pick as an alternative? Would you instead go with a tone shaper, a EQ? A lot of people say that with an EQ, you can get just about every tone that you want. Well, you're not going to get spring reverb out of an EQ, but it is an interesting point that I throw out there. A compressor, like this. I have a compressor going here. Again, it has this Fender compressor has its uses, but I could live without it. I could live without it. So again, you are going to, the exercise here is to take a look at your rig and ask yourself, one guitar, one amp, or one pedal, or whatever, within that combination there, that fits the description. And what if everything else had to go, could I live with just this? And I personally am convinced that I could live with one guitar, this Moore radar, and one of these days I'll get it. I'll buy one. Not now. The Zoom, the new MD multi effects pedal, because I had the older Zoom version of that. I actually liked it, but and I foolishly let that go in a trade for the Fender amp that I eventually went in a trade. See how that works. But that's the one pedal that I wanted to keep it as soon as I heard that they came out with a new version that sounds way better, has way more options to it. I got it's at a super price, under $150, maybe less. It's an option. As a matter of fact, let me look that up real quick here. Where can I look that up? Yeah, Zoom MD, can I get that with that? How much is that thing going for? Multi-effects. Here we go. Okay, found it. Um, yeah, here it is. Oh, this is a little bit different. The G14 guitar multi effects, that's kind of a cool thing too. 70 effects and amps models, looper and drum machine for 85 euros. That's not the one that I was talking about, but that's also by Zoom. That's an option as well. They don't have the one that I'm looking for on this site. But, you know, seriously, a multi effects pedal like that, you don't need even the coconut water generator because that runs on batteries. You just need to make sure you pack a shitload of batteries with you. And that's no kidding. Um, so that, you know, in a real life situation where you don't have access to AC, you might want to look at something. It seems simplistic as a Zoom, but at the end of the day, you can run it off of batteries. That's also a consideration I threw out there as well. Have an amazing day today, and I wish you prosperity over the next week, including you, Scott. Thank you. Appreciate that. I have a sea green Strat, and I love it, man. Don't have any pedals yet, unfortunately. Well, sea green Strat is nice. That's a beautiful color. So that would be your desert island guitar. So you got one of the criteria, the three here. You've got a guitar, a lovely one on top of that. So yeah, dig that. You know, I as I sit here and discuss this with you guys, I start, yeah, but what about the ones that are run on battery? Then again, like I said, you can realistically, it could be realistically a desert until you run out of battery power. But again, if you have enough batteries, or if you have a professor type who can build you a seawater or saltwater recharger, then you're good to go. You know, you don't need a major power source. You can run that guitar, no issues. You got a set of headphones, you're good to go, especially with that Zoom pedal that I just picked up off the net they're talking about. Again, you know, there are a lot of things there, and of course, a lot of it's subjective as to whether or not it fits your needs. But again, in that kind of situation, but again, it is an exercise for you to look around your studio or at your gear, stuff that you have, and ask yourself, would I be happy if I just had this amp, this pedal, and this guitar only? And sometimes in my situation, the amp is no longer an amp, it's actually another pedal. And so I really do believe the versatility does that Zoom does run on batteries. This Moore doesn't, unfortunately. But there are some pedals out there that have a 9-volt output that you can run on battery power, run it, and run another pedal as well. The God, I had one. Who is it that makes those pedals? AMT. The AMT pedals actually will run. I've had a few AMT pedals. Will actually run another pedal off its battery power supply. It eats it up, chews that battery up super quick, but it does work. So there is that. Do you have a second choice? Again, I'm vacillating between the parts caster and the Telecaster. I guess at the end of the day, honestly, the Telecaster would be first choice. The second choice would be the parts caster. Wouldn't be unhappy with that. For the pedals, again, it would be the same scenario. I would just choose different iterations by different makers, manufacturers of those same two pedals. So, and the choices these days on that are unlimited. So there's that. You know, underrated gear. You know, something out there underrated that may be the perfect desert island piece of gear. You know, there's so many options out there. So many options. So there's that. What color is the plastics on that Strat, Zaya? I think parchment would be nice on a Segra. I agree too. Parchment would be really nice on a seafoam green. I saw a seafoam green Jaguar with a parchment pickguard and just gorgeous. So I agree. I agree with that. Hey, another guitar. Maybe that would be my third choice, a Jaguar. Wouldn't be a Les Paul because there's no chiropractor on the desert island. So the Les Paul definitely is not on the list. But and the the Jaguar could double as your paddle as you're making your way to shore. So it's pretty optional there with that one. That might be a third choice. But it's a fun game we're playing tonight. But the seriousness of it is for you to look at your gear and ask yourself, if I had to get rid of everything else. And we've all been there for economic reasons, for moving reasons. I've done both. Where I just had to say, okay, I'm giving stuff away, at the end, because I've got to move from one end of the earth to the other. And it really has honed my senses for discerning what I really need and what I don't, what's really key and what isn't. And everything else on top of that is gravy. One guitar, this Moore radar, and a multi effects pedal, and I would be happy. I would be happy because I could do everything that I wanted to do. And everything on top of that, the Klon, the other pedals, all the outboard gear, all that stuff is just gravy, to be honest. Because honestly, I could do it without. When I talked about Prince in his studio a couple of live streams back, I was trying to make that point that that man made records with way less than most of us have, me even sitting here. I have more power sitting here than Prince had in his studio. And yet, I have written a lot of albums. I am willing to heartfelt, remorsefully report that none of them raised to the good albums, but none of them raised to the standard of a 1999. It got me again thinking about, less is more, I guess is the takeaway from tonight. So you just kind of look at your gear, you know. I guess this really is an extension of that Prince Studio discussion we had a week or so ago, which was an extremely popular live stream for me. Thank you guys. A lot of views on that. Big one for me. Big live stream. But the theme of that one is the same as this one, less is more. And these kind of, let's just hypothetically toss this idea around kind of scenarios are the ones that really make you take a hard look at what you got and realize that these are the core things, everything else is gravy. And be thankful for the gravy when you have gravy. If you don't have the gravy yet, don't worry about it. You will, and it will come and go, as gravy does. But as long as you can keep your core things and determine what those are, and this exercise, writing the script tonight and going through this was actually, even though I'm Good channel. It really got me to think about what I had and to really come down to, yeah, I could really do without that. I would be happy. It would make a very interesting display for a YouTube channel. Two pedals and a guitar. I'd have to change my channel name to Two Pedals and a Guitar. And I don't know how many people would be interested in that. But I can make it work, you know. With that, I don't need all this other gravy. I can make it work with that. That's just the fact of it. Mike, are Tascam hit or miss, or is it everything they make golden? Tascam is the best. Like two turntables and a microphone, you know? I like Tascam and everything. There's nothing that Tascam builds that I don't give a thumbs up to, even if I've never played it or bought it. Although I've played and bought over the last 4 decades, quite a deal of Tascam equipment and gear. Their recorders are the best. Still love you, the Scorpions. Thank you, Scorpions. I didn't know that you even heard my albums. Appreciate it. You know, it's just an exercise to really make you understand that sometimes less is more. You know, and what's the core things. I've been working on it. You guys have seen the evolution of this channel, how I have went from this to this, and how I'm just slowly pushing back to the minimum amount, and then record with it, and then play those recordings with you and say, see, look here, I did this with this. You know, I did this with this. You know, because I'm focusing on creating. I'm not turning buttons and knobs and doing things like that unnecessarily. I don't have 1,000 options for, amp modelers to choose from. Which I'm doing this jazz track. Which one of these, thousands of IRs I have would be the best one for this? Just cut back and remember the way they used to do it. They would grab an amp. Usually it was the amp of the guitar player, generally a Fender amp, change from them, but generally, or they went direct into the board. How did they do those things, and the simplicity of that, and yet they made great music. So, a fun topic tonight, I hope, for you, a very light one. Didn't expect a big turnout tonight, but all the regulars were here, and I thank you guys so much for doing so, for always being here for me. I will be here for you as long as you're here for me. And anyway, it's just a light thing. I'll get deep and dark on Sunday. I'll probably be in that kind of mood by Sunday, depending upon how work goes this week. So something a little heavier on Sunday. But tonight, I just wanted to keep it light. Boy, my screen froze up there. Yeah, there I go. I was stuck like this, like I was in the like I was Han Solo stuck in carbonite. Thanks guys so much for showing up on the Wednesday Night Hum. Hope you liked tonight's topic. Thank you, Scott, for moderating as always. Thank you to all the rest of you guys for supporting, always showing up for these live streams. I'm tired. I got 2 more days of getting my ass kicked to go, but God willing, and he always is, there's something there to kick. Usually something left by the end of the week. So we'll take what we can. But I hope you guys had fun tonight. Watch in my video section the latest video, the latest unboxing, 3 great guitars. Think you guys would dig that. Until the next one, until this Sunday, you guys take care. Night, bye, ciao. Battery's running out anyway.